Hey guys, how's it going? All the while here, and I want to bring you this video of a sort of a dual purpose, both a empowerment guide and a new feature that just came in the patch of July 2025, and that is the commission feature within the Faction Guardians. Now, what is empowerment? Well, whenever you have duplicates of the same champion, what you can do is you can empower them, and I'll show you how to do that in case you don't know already. You empower them by putting the same champion into another champion and thus empowering them or making them stronger. So you would go to your guardian ring here and then obviously rightly named empowered champions, and you would select your champion, and then the filter on the right here will automatically highlight if there is a duplicate champion of that nature. You'll unlock it, and then on the bottom here where my big head is, you'll see all the bonuses that you get for empowering the champion. Now I'm not going to do that here just now, but you would have a option to empower based on this list. So it won't show you champions that you can't empower. So for instance, like a Lydia here, I'm sorry, not a Lydia, Mithrala, I could empower it with my Blind Seer, but my Blind Seer is actually built, right? So I could get my level 60 Blind Seer to empower my Mithrala, but I'm not going to do that again, right? So you can do that for legendaries and epic champions. And another feature here, which is the commission, where if you have two of the same champion, instead of using the duplicate to empower one champion, you can sacrifice two of the same champion and empower your whole faction and your faction guardian. So for instance, here, if with my first duplicate, I get 10% HP for the same rarity. So 10% HP for legendary, since I have duplicate legendaries on the top, duplicate epics on the purple here, 10 HP, and then on the bottom, with the rares, guess what? 10 HP for rares. So you can do that for all factions and for all three of the rarities, as you can see here. And the more of the faction guardians that you have, the more bonuses that you get. So this guide goes hand in hand, showing you what champions you want to empower, aka you don't want to use your duplicate champions as a faction guardian. You can use them to empower one of your champions, and or the champion that you don't want to commission, meaning you don't want to sacrifice, where you do want to build two of them or you do want to empower at least one of them. So as you see here, my royal guards here, they are both +4. I have two of them. I've fully empowered them, and I am not going to commission them. I am, see, and it warns you when you click on that. So once you click commission, then the champions will be removed from your account and you cannot get them back. So this guide will basically run down key champions that you do not want to commission, and you can commission all of the rest that I don't mention here. So let's get started. We'll start with the rares. We will go with an honorable mention here. I believe he is an Ogren. Yes. So we have, let me do it this way here. So honorable mention for the rares. First up is Bellower. Now you get Bellower from the Void Shard, since he is a Void rare. And the reason why he is special is because all of his abilities, is A1, A2, and A3, are all attack all enemies, meaning AoE, they attack all of the champions in the wave content. So it doesn't matter which ability you choose. Obviously, there are some abilities that do different debuffs and different effects. So depending on the situation, you would get the ability, but they would all do the same thing in damaging all of the wave enemies. So Bellower here, you usually would use him as your campaign farmer, where you would farm your food champions along with your Bellower as your campaign farmer in Brutal 12-3 or in Nightmare campaign 12-6. Usually 12-6 is easier on Nightmare. And Also, because on the Ogrins, the the faction is pretty limiting as far as viable nukers. So when you barely start off, you will have to rely on your Bellower or your Bellowers if you do want to use two of them to get you through faction wars and just complete all content in the game, right? So that is a honorable mention there. And let's go for the actual rares that you do want to empower and or not rares that you want to empower because you can't empower rares, but which ones you do not want to commission. So for the barbarians here, we have Soulbound Boyar. So you do want to keep multiple Soulbound Boyars, two of them to be precise, at the minimum. Mainly because of their A1, and their A1 is an attack all enemies, so you hit all of the enemies in the wave. But what is special with this ability is that for an AoE A1, it does come pretty rare, especially for rares, and it has a good multiplier where it does decent damage. Now, you can pair this with a stun set where you can equip 4 artifacts within the stun set to get the bonus of having a chance of placing a stun debuff on each of the individual champions. And each wave has 5 champions, so you have 5 chances of placing a stun on at least one of them. And of course, if you have multiple Soulbound Boyars, then you have basically 10 chances of at least stunning one champion. So Soulbound Boyar, really good champion. You do want to hold on to. Doom Tower waves, Centranos for once you hit the late game. So even in late game, when you have all these legendaries, all these mythical champions, Centranos and the Doom Tower do have stages where they do limit the champions that you can use. Specifically, the Doom Tower, you can only use rare champions, and in Centranos Hard, specifically Centranos Soul Cross, you would only be able to use rare or epic champions in those particular stages. So Soulbound Boyar will be able to be fit in with a stun set, or even with a nuking set. Again, she does hit pretty good, but she shines with a stun set. So definitely have 2 of them on your side. All right, and now for the rares here. The next one I want to highlight here is Painkeeper, another void rare just like Bellower. And the reason we want to keep 2 Painkeepers is her A3 ability here, Combat Tactics, where she's able to decrease the cooldowns of all of the other champions on your team by 1 turn. And if you have 2 of them on the same team, then that means effectively you are reducing the cooldown by 2 turns for your other champions. They are able to reset each other, so this combat tactics can reduce the other Painkeeper's combat tactics. The main area where you want to use 2 Painkeepers is in the Iron Twins, which is pretty difficult, especially in the early game. So having 2 Painkeepers built up, even I have seen some compositions where they're just level 30. As long as they're speed tuned to the correct speeds, you will be able to do a sort of like an unkillable where you're able to refresh the unkillable with either a man-eater or any other champion that has block damage or an unkillable skill, and just cycle through reducing the cooldowns and just getting to your abilities a lot faster because of that. And the final rare champion on my list here is the one and only Coldheart, another Void champion. Now, the reason why she is special is for the Fire Knight, both normal and in the hard mode once you are in endgame. And because with the Fire Knight, you do need to look for multi-hitters where a skill can hit the enemy more than once. Luckily for Coldheart, she can hit the enemy 4 times. So if the Fire Knight has a shield value of 12, with the 2 cold hearts or multiple, right? If you have 2 cold hearts minimum, your Fire Knight shield already goes down to 4. And then you have 3 other champions to get those 4 ticks down, and then the Fire Knight shield goes down. So a 4-hitter on an A1, no cooldown, really good. And then once the Fire Knight shield does go down, then you can hit him with the A3 Heartseeker, which is a hard-hitting ability that is based on enemy max HP. And anytime you see an enemy max HP hit, that means it deals big damage specifically to bosses, not necessarily to waves. So you do want to hold this skill in the earlier waves so that it can be available once you hit the Fire Knight in this instance. So Code Heart, I have 4 of them built on my account, 3 to level 60, 1 at level 50. There are sometimes where there are events or tournaments where you have to run Spider, run Fire Knight, run Dungeon with all rares or with a specific faction. And usually Dark Elves does come up. So having multiple Cold Hearts here can work for Fire Knight, can work with Spider too, where the Heartseeker can just melt them with a couple of hits. So that will be the final rare that I would recommend. And now on to the epics. All right, and now down to the epics here. I'm going to go by faction. And again, these are epics that you do not want to commission. You don't want to get rid of to fill up your faction guardians to save space. Now for the Banner Lords, the first faction here, I don't recommend anyone to really not sacrifice. Once you have a duplicate, you are safe to commission it. Obviously, don't commission your main one, right? At least keep 1 copy. But if you have 2 other dupes, do not commission those. Just keep the main, let's say, Stag Knight and duplicate Stag Knight. One Stag Knight is 60, the other Stag Knight at level 1, 4 stars. Keep them in your faction Guardian, but don't do the commission. Once you get your 3rd Stag Knight, then you can go ahead and put that into a commission. Obviously, I do recommend doing the +4, fully empowering the epics to get the max stats. So you get your first copy, and then you would get 4 additional copies. So strong champions, obviously there are a lot of lists of the best epics. So I would follow those lists as far as good epics. Also the Hell Hades website, where anything 4-star for sure, empower them to +4, and then after that you can, just either use duplicates to do the remaining skill ups for books, or just commission them as faction guardians. So again, for the Banner Lords, you don't really need 2 of a specific epic. So once you get the +4, you're done. Any other copies, you'll be set. All right, and for the High Elves, there is one that I want to call out, and of course you saw them earlier in my explanation of the faction guardians, and that is 2 Royal Guards. Now, just like Cold Heart, Royal Guard here has a enemy max HP hit, and this is a attack all enemies AoE, so it can hit all of the enemies in the wave with the enemy max HP hit. Pair them with a different other Royal Guard, and again, you'll just go through the waves pretty fast. He does have a attack 4 times at random, so again, another Fire Knight champion where you can save the A3 once you get to the Fire Knight, and just like the Cold Heart, get 4 hits off of the shield. But unlike Cold Heart, this one does have a cooldown, so you cannot spam it, which is why Cold Heart's A1 is S tier for the Fire Knight. But nonetheless, it does really good for Fire Knight, and whenever you face the Fire Knight in the Centrano stages. After that, yeah, no other ones. You don't need duplicates for the High Elves. All right, so for the Sacred Order, I'm going to call out 2 of them. The first one being Phoenix. Phoenix has a hard-hitting A1 that does a block revive. Usually you want to use them with an ally attacker, meaning that the champion that has ally attack will have the other champions attack a single enemy with their default skill or their A1. So if their A1 is an attack all enemies AoE, then they will do the AoE. But in this instance, because the Phoenix is a single target, you want to do an ally attack on a champion, and if successful, you'll be able to block revive them if you kill them, and more than likely you will kill them because this hits hard. So having two of them, not only just in regular clear of the waves, but also more specifically ally attack strategies. Having two Phoenixes is really good. Obviously, you have them +4, and then +4 them again for your second copy. Do not commission Phoenix. And then finally, Inquisitor Shamail. Inquisitor Shamail will be a void epic, so a little bit harder to get. But if you get two of them, hold on to them. I actually recommend to not empower immediately. Have two separate Inquisitor Shamails for the Hydra. The Hydra is, you're going to start doing that in mid game to get your Stone Skin and Protection sets, which are viable sets that you do want to farm every week. I have multiple protection and stone skin sets, even in the super end game. So you do want to start farming that as soon as possible, and having two Shamails, one for each of the two teams. Heck, you can even use a third one, but you probably don't have enough champions to fill in a third one because you need 6, 12, 18 good champions to run a Hydra team. So for sure, start with two. The main reason being is because of the passive, where if the one of the heads, I believe the head of mischief, places a fear or a true fear on the champions, Inquisitor Shamail just removes it, and you don't have to worry about that. And with the fear or true fear, it is annoying when you need to revive someone, when you need to heal someone, and then you skip your turn because the fear procs. So Inquisitor Shamail is a sort of like a security towards that, where you don't have to worry about that. One less thing to worry. Again, you don't have as many champions to work with. You do need a lot of buffs to do well in the Hydra. So just one less thing to worry about. Inquisitor Shamail, having two of them. And then once you have two of them, you can empower them to make them stronger. So those are the two for Sacred Order that I would recommend. And here we have the Barbarian faction, and the first champion that I want to highlight is Alika. Now, Alika is probably the hardest hitting epic nuker that there is, and that's because of this A2 here, where it will ignore 50% of the target's defense just flat out. If you have the Helm Smasher Mastery and any of the other ignore defense sets, Merciless, Savage, you'll be able to ignore even more defense. So this is a great skill, and it's also a force affinity. Now in the Centrano stages, there is a lot of focus on rare or epic stages with the force affinity. I don't know why, but a lot of the stages that are the toughest is for you to call on your force champions that are epic quality or less. So you'll see Alika here, but then you'll also see down this list a lot of other force champions that are epic that will fit the same thing, where they will be able to be used in Centrano's hard modes, in the Soul Cross specifically, where it's one of the hardest stages that there is in the whole game. You can also use Alika here for the A1 if you do a ally attack onto the Amius boss in the Centranos as well, the Cursed City. So if you have two Alikas, I've seen compositions where Amius goes down in less than 30 seconds, so she is pretty good. And the final epic that I want to highlight here in the Barbarians is a ally attack right here, Farrakhan the Fat. Now Farrakhan has a ally attack here on his A3, where all the other champions except for this Farrakhan will target the enemy with their A1. And if you have two Farrakhan the Fats, then after you do this ally attack, then you can bring in your second Farrakhan the Fat and rush down the boss in question. So really good champion here. Ally attack, if you get a Farrakhan the Fat with the Cold Hearts that we mentioned earlier, with their A1 that has 4 hits, before the Cold Hearts even take a hit, if you do a Farrakhan and with 2 Cold Hearts, you have the 8 hits, and then when it's Cold Heart's first turn, Boom, the four other hits, their shield goes down, and then the second Cold Heart can then do their Heart Seeker. So you get it. So again, just trying to maximize which champions you want to keep multiple copies of. And because Ferric the Fat is a non-void epic, he is a lot easier to pick up on your multiple void, not void, multiple shard openings. All right. So that is the barbarians. Up next is the Ogrins. We highlighted Bellower and we made it a point where there isn't really too many good nukers in the faction. There is one champion that I do want to highlight where you want to keep two of, sort of like the Inquisitor Shamel example, which is Ugo here. Now, Ugo is a support champion that is really great for the Hydra clan boss. And it's because of this A2 that has a decreased defense and a block buffs. Block buffs on an AoE. So you're able to have all of the heads with block buffs so that they won't be able to buff up and get nastier and your runs will get cut short. So you'll have one Ugo on one team and then the second Ugo on your second Hydra team. So big call out to Ugo, really great champion even in the end game. Uh, I think for multiple Ugos, it really is only for Hydra. For faction wars and for Doom Tower, you really just need one. But just a call out there for multiple Ugos. And as far as DPS, you could go double Siege Hulks. Again, because the Ogrins are lacking in good nukers, you'll have a A2 here that is a decreased defense and is also an AoE. So having two of those will get the waves down. And also I want to call out Skrank. His HP burn and his A2 double hitter does hit really hard. So you can keep two of these. Skrank is a little bit harder because he is a void epic. But if you are able to keep two of them, then I would recommend doing that after, again, you empower them to +4. And then one that you for sure want to keep two of, and you want to keep two before you even empower one of them, is Maneater here. Now, having one Maneater unlocks the unkillable strategies for Demon Lord Clan Boss. Having two of them with the right speed tune, you'll be able to one key Ultra Nightmare easily. You just have to make sure that everyone takes their turn in the order that they should. So follow unkillable guides for that. Use the Deadwood Jedi speed calculator to make sure that the unkillable is placed after every turn. So definitely Maneater, a good call out for Demon Lord. You could use two Maneaters for Faction Wars hard, so later down the line, or even maybe normal Faction Wars, especially the bosses, Stage 21, Stage 14, Stage 7. Some of those bosses are really hard, so if you are able to do a unkillable strat on them, you'll be able to push through and get closer to Lydia for normal faction war. So huge call out to Maneater there on the Ogrins. All right, for Lizardmen, one specifically, and that is Basilisk. I really like Basilisk. Again, another Force Epic. Again, for Centranos. Centranos loves their Force Epic stages. And Basilisk has a A1 that is an AoE. And if you put him in a lethal or savage set, he melts the waves. He's really, really good. I highly recommend having two of them. Just having one is fine, but again, having two is the chef's kiss. For nukers on the Lizardmen, I guess Slixus is a good one. But other than that, I mean, yeah, he is a void epic. Other than that, you would have to get lucky to get one of these legendaries, and even then, they're not as good as some of the other faction. Obviously, Teox, the sole exception there, he hits really hard. But yeah, Basilisk can be your only nuker for the faction, and you will do good just with that A1 AoE. All right, for the Skinwalkers, I don't recommend doing multiple champions. You could just do singles, just empower them to +4. Every other copy, you could do the commission to sacrifice them. I guess a special call out here to Gnarlhorn. I have seen compositions where they use 2 Gnarlhorns, but it's mostly on a control where he's able to place a provoke on an AoE, and just basically more for locking down certain hard waves, especially waves that only require rares. I'm looking at you, Doom Tower hard waves there, where there's only rares allowed. So you can use 2 of them. I only have 1, so again, depending on your roster and if you're struggling, maybe getting that second Gnarl Horn is there. But again, that's a big stretch. I wouldn't invest too many resources into a second one. All right, and we have the orcs. The orcs are like the Ogren, where there's not many candidates for a double, but there is 2 I want to call out. 1 seer. I do just recommend just the 1 seer. Second seer, after you do the +4, your first one, you can do, but again, this is more end game, trying to get your runs down to sub 30-second wave runs. If you don't know about Seer, she basically removes all of the buffs from both your side and the opponent's side and just does maximum damage based on the amount of buffs that are removed. And having 2 of them equals faster wave runs. So big shout out to Seer, probably the best epic in the whole game. She does need a lot of gear though, so if you pull one early, I wouldn't recommend going full Seer on there. I would recommend gearing out some other champions. And then the second one I want to call out in the orcs is Zargala. Now Zargala, again, force epic for the Centranos hard stages, and she has an A3 here, which is a decreased defense on an AoE, and then a hard hitting A2 where it has really good multipliers. And if you are able to kill the one enemy, since it's a single target, then she automatically activates the A3, doing another decreased defense. So you can set up with 1 Zargala doing the decreased defense, and then the second one just going straight to the A2, and then that should kill it because you have the decreased defense up, and then you hit him with another A3. So big shout out to Zargala. Lots of utility with this champion. I really recommend Zargala. +4 and having a dupe. So do not commission Zargala. Demon Spawn, there is only 1 champion that I recommend you doing a double of, and that's Allure. Now, Allure is really good for normal Fire Knight with a A1, A3, and it also decreases the target's turn meter. So not only is it a triple hitter to reduce the Fire Knight's shield, but also once the shield is down, this hit right here will decrease the turn meter so that the Fire Knight does not take a turn and put his shield back up. So having 2 of them as well just basically locks them down, and the Fire Knight will not take a turn. Similarly to Cold Heart, where there are some tournaments that come up where you can only use certain factions, Demon Spawn only, or with Demon Spawn, or just epics for the Fire Knight. There are tournaments that do come up. These are rare. They come up maybe once every 6 months, so twice a year, if that. So it's good for those type of events. And again, also for the Soul Cross and Toronto stages where you do want to lock out the waves, more specifically with the decreased turn meter. So if you have 2 of them going back to back, the waves are not going to take a turn, and then you're able to have your other champions nuke down the enemy. So this is not necessarily a nuker, but it's just more for a control. And then she also has sleep, so you can CC the enemy there. So Allure, having 2 of them, do not commission her. Great Demon Spawn there. All right, and the undead. All right, honorable mention for the undead. I have seen people use double Volgoth. One Volgoth I think is enough. Really good tanker, especially early game. Keep your team alive, especially if you don't have a reviver just yet, where the Volgoth places a provoke on the whole team with the AoE A2 here. And because the enemy is forced to target Volgoth every time Volgoth gets hit, then the passive kicks in where Volgoth heals your whole team. So if you are struggling having two of them, again, maximum heal, but I think you'll be fine with just one. But honorable mention for Volgoth there. But a must build, again, another Force Epic champion. We have Husk here. And Husk has a enemy max HP hit. So again, there is a pattern here, right? Just like Royal Guard, Cold Heart, enemy max HP, and it's on an AoE skill. So really good for any wave content. Plus, it has the addition of having a stun, so you don't have to build Husk in a stun set. He automatically has a chance to stun, and if you have multiple of them, then again more chances to stun. Specifically S19 with the double Taurus and Marichka team. Yeah, if you know, you know. That's a tough wave to go against. And then you also have a provoke on the A1, which really comes in handy, and a hard hitting A3 here. Also, double husk, one for each of your Hydra teams, too. So, again, with the enemy max HP, it's an AoE hit. You can replace Husk once you have better champions, but having one Husk on your easy or non easy normal team and then another Husk on your brutal team will get you lots of progression. So, big shout out to Husk. Definite must build there with multiple uses. Okay, and we have the Dark Elves. Skip this faction. We already called out the Cold Heart and the Painkeeper. Keep those for commission. Once you have your +4 fully empowered champion, you don't need a second one. So your second and third copies after that, you can commission them and sacrifice them. You could just have one copy of each, so you don't need two of them. So that one was easy. And Knight's Revenant. Not a double requirement, but pretty fun. I'm going to include both Sinesha and Skull Crown. Now, these are sisters, I believe. There is champion lore. Yeah, I'm guessing there's a confirmation that they are sisters there. But with Skull Crown, her A1 hits really, really hard because it does extra hit on enemies with more than 50 HP. And then Sinesha comes in with her own A1 that's an AoE and does 50% less HP and extra hit. And these abilities hit really hard, like really, really hard. So if you do two Skull Crowns and two Sineshas, yeah, that is a GG. So you can just cruise through Faction Wars hard. Again, this is more in game. But yeah, hold off on sacrificing after you +4 a Sinesha and a Skull Crown. Really, really, really good. I guess you can make an argument for Whisper. Whisper is a really good champion where she has a passive where she could get extra turns upon extra turns. I only have one of her built, and even then, she doesn't fit into many of the special stages because she is Void Affinity. So again, with those Force Affinity champions, where they're a little bit more locked down, they do take priority of having multiple of. But Whisper is a special call out there, special shout out, I guess you can say. And we're going down to the stretch here for the dwarves. Who do you want to keep two of? Obviously, Geomancer. Now, the thing with Geomancer is that their passive only triggers once. So not really ideal, but you can use two of them. Again, force affinity stages for the Soul Cross Centrano stages, so you can build two of them. But the one that you do want to build two of that I would recommend is Morag. Now, Morag does have an ally attack. It's not like Farrakhan where it's everyone else. It's two random allies. So it'll be Morag and two random allies. And then she does have a hard hitting A2 AoE. That's really, really good. So having two Morags, again, S19 for the Soul Cross stages where it's epics only, Spirit. Comes in clutch. Also comes in clutch in S17 where it's the Fire Knight and you're only allowed to use epics. Morag does come in clutch there with her ally attack. So big shout out to Morag. Definitely do not commission her. And you can commission everyone else after you get your main one. All right, Shadowkin. No one. You can just have one of. Even Gembo, again, same thing, just like Whisper. He's Void Affinity, so there is no restrictions where you need to put in a Genbo. Usually with those restrictions, it's like you can use any Void, Legendary, Epic, so you can just use your Legendary Void champion. So, I wouldn't build two of any of these epics. And then finally, the Sylvan Watchers. I think this, if you do only one duel, this is it right here. Miss Rider Dythe. Just one is good, but two, again, epic force affinity. And Miss Rider Dythe hits so hard and he has chances to do multiple hits. You start off with the A3, you do the increase attack on himself and increase accuracy, and you take an extra turn. And then you do the AoE A2 with the decreased defense, and you have and you get an extra turn if everyone gets the decreased debuff. And then if you have another turn, you could do the A1, and then there's a chance at an extra turn there. So there are times where you could just do multiple hits with Dythe before your next champion goes. So if you have two of these, they are just going to go through the whole wave, and your other champions are just going to be like, well, F me, right? I'm just sitting here while Dythe just does everything. Huge shout out to Miss Rider Dythe, one of the newer champions released within the past year. Highly recommend if you only build one epic of a duo, do Miss Rider Dythe. Huge recommendation there from me. And now we'll end this off with the Legendaries. If you are more on the whale or kraken side, no judgment here, because I have multiple copies of certain Legendaries. One, you do not ever want to commission a Legendary. You want to +4, and you don't want to +4 every Legendary champion. There are times where a new champion is released, and a existing champion can be used to empower to +4 this new champion that is not released. So sort of like the best example here of Marius, which you can only get one of completing his challenges. But if you have extra copies of Tamesia, you can use Tamesia to empower Marius. So same thing. You don't want to empower every single legendary champion, just, the best ones. So ones that you do want to keep multiple copies of, we'll go with Banner Lords here. If you're lucky enough to pull two Tauruses, don't empower them just yet. I would keep two Tauruses, especially with Taurus and Marichka. Tag Team Arena, really good with a Marichka, 2 Tauruses. If the enemy does an AoE, then you have 2 Tauruses just melting your enemy. Really, really good. And then also you can use 1 Taurus for your Hydra Nightmare, and then the second one for your Hydra Brutal. Again, this is more end game because, again, he is a hard champion. Do not empower him. Have 2 copies, and then from there, start empowering one of them if you pull that many copies. And another shout out here to Stultus. I would recommend doing 2 Stultuses here, specifically for his passive, where he's able to reflect back poison debuffs on an enemy. So if you have 2 Stultus Dragonbanes on the dragon, specifically hard 10 dragon or any stage of dragon, when the dragon spits out the poisons, the Stultuses do not get affected by poison, and the dragon basically has 8 poisons, 4 poisons from one Stultus, 4 poisons from the other, 8 poisons back to the dragon. You'll be able to get really fast runs, and you want to build them pretty slow. You just want to have them tanky, build them in regen and immortal so that they can heal up lots of HP so that they don't die. They don't even have to take a turn. Just have them slow, have the passive reflect all the poisons back to the dragon, and you'll be able to get sub 30-second scores even on hard Dragon 10, the hardest stage. So special shout out there to Stultus. High Elves, I guess you could do 2 Wallmaster Authorions. Really good for the Hydra. So if you are able to pull 2 of them, you can use one for one difficulty, the other for the second one, or you can use both of them for the same difficulty. I have seen 2 of them be used on the same one and doing with the enemy max HP on an AoE with block buffs. Really, really beneficial for the Hydra. So if you have 2 of them, go ahead and use both of them. So that'll be the only legendary there. Sacred Order. No, yeah, you can skip that. Barbarians, you can skip that too. Again, with the legendaries, they are a little bit more niche, but I will call them out if they do come up here. Nothing for the Ogrin. For the Lizardman, if you do pick up 2 Teoxes, which is this is probably the hardest one to get dupes of because he is only available during special events. But if you are able to get 2 of them, do not empower the first one that you are getting. Do have multiple. You can pair them up with another champion that I'm going to call out here shortly on a different faction, and you'll be able to clear through lots of the Doom Tower stages in record time, as well as some of the Centrano stages where it's Lizardmen and another faction that I'm going to call out. So definitely want to have 2 of those. Skinwalkers. Nope, you are fine with just 1. I guess you could do 2 Wukongs, but I would not recommend them. That's more of a meme team. I guess if you have a UDK and then 2 Wukongs behind them for Tag Team Arena, but I think you're fine with just 1 Wukong. For the Orcs, they are not good by themselves, and they're not good for double, so skip the Orcs. For the Demon Spawn, call out here for Kymar. You can do a reset of the cooldowns. So if you do like a Seer composition, you do your buffs. Seer removes everything to do the nuke. You go to the next wave, you do the reset, buffs, Seer, nuke. Third wave, your second Kymar can come in and then reset one more time, and you'll be able to go through. So yeah, he won't reduce this champion's cooldown, but you'll be able to do it. I think when I reset or reduce the cooldowns of this champion skill, this skill cannot be reduced. So yeah, it's not, you can't reduce Seal of Magic, but you can reduce the other skills like the buff skills and then the Seer A3. So you'll be able to reset from there. So there's a special shout out to Kaimar, double of him. For the undead hordes, you'll be fine. Just single of each. Just empower them to +4. Dark elves, same thing. You don't need multiple copies of those. Knight's Revenant. Here he is, having 2 Calvalaxes. Now, with Calvalax, his passive is he puts 4 poison debuffs at the start of the round. If you have 2 of them, guess what? There's 8 poisons going out at the very start. And if you pair him with a Teox, which I will come back here to him, his passive, let's see here, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% whenever an enemy or an ally receives a debuff. So you start the round, you have 8 poisons immediately going onto the enemy team. That's 5% times 8. 40% if you have 2 Calvalaxes. So you don't even have to build Teox fast. He'll be able to cut in and then finish the enemy off. So really good for tag team arena or just regular arena. Having two of those, or even just 1 Calvalax, you'll be able to do some synergy with the Teoxes there. So yeah, special shout out there to Calvalax. Oh, here he is on the Knight's Revenant, and I think that's it. Yeah, just have a double of him before you start empowering. Dwarves, we do have a couple of dwarves here that you want to keep 2 of. 1, Acrisia. Every single skill is a enemy max HP, and we went over how enemy max HP is really good in the game. So having 2 of them, pretty good. You also have an A2 here that's an AoE enemy max HP. So do not empower your Acrisias if you get 2 void of the same legendaries. Again, this applies to beginners and very late game players. The second one that you want to keep 2 of is obviously Trunda. Having 1 for Nightmare, 1 for Brutal, heck, even a third one for normal Hydra. Cloak of Ages just deletes all of the Hydra heads. But I think I would do a +4. You just want to maximize your Trunda to do as much damage. And then after you have your +4, then if you're able to pull a, what would that be, a 6th Trunda, then you can do that one +4. So call out there. And then finally the big boy that you don't want to empower. The more newts you have, the more nuts you have, the better. The king of PvE. Blessed Bash A3, triple hitter that just deletes the enemy max HP. So unlike the other enemy max HPs where it does big damage, this is big damage times 3. So this, anytime Newt is on progressive, and if you have the resources, pull, he's the best champion to get multiples of, hands down. I have 2, I want a 3rd, and once I have a 3rd, I probably want a 4th. Newt, best Newt. And we're almost done here. For the Shadowkin, the only one to call out here is Yumiko. As of this recording, I am holding my void shards for the next progressive event for Yumiko because I want a second Yumiko. And that's because of her A3 here, where it decreases the team's turn meter, not the turn meter, decreases the team's skills by 3 turns. And then if you have a second one, then you can decrease again by 3 turns. So each Yumiko can reset this skill by 3 turns. So you just go back and forth. You can just do whatever you want. And big thing for Hydra, for the Trunda teams. Even though the strategy is a little bit old, it still works wonders. So this is my my go-to for now. Hopefully, in the future, if you tune into my channel, I have 2 Yumikos. Wish me luck. So yeah, definitely want 2 Yumikos. And finally, for the Sylvan Watchers, Uh, Nobody. If anything, you can use two emics, but this is very niche. Mostly for the Hydra, there are Trunda teams where they use two emics for the A2 here, where emic decreases the cooldown of the skills. So decreases the cooldown of Trunda getting back to her hard hitting A2, Cloak of Ages. And then if you have a second emic, then you can decrease the ally skills again, and you can also swap unkillable for 2 turns. Once it's about to fall off, then the second emic can come in and do more unkillable and rinse and repeat. So that is pretty much it. Again, a very definitive guide of which champions to never commission. Do not commission. There are some champions that you do want two of. And even if you don't want to commission, if you still want to keep them, just some champions that I recommend that you build two of so that you can be prepared in content that you are not ready yet, but will make your job a lot easier, especially because getting a specific champion is hard. You may not get the meta legendaries, but if you have really good epics, you'll be able to progress a lot further. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Leave a like. I don't know how long this video is now. So like to you, pat on the back if you're still here, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.